It's Morphe time.
So it is 1:44 a.m. It was 1:43, but I guess I had to faff for a bit longer than I thought I did. It is 1:43 a.m. and I've just got back from the cinema from watching Halloween Ends, the 2022 Halloween film. And I wanted to just kind of record my thoughts about the film. Sorry, I've got a bit of a sore throat. Do have a menthol somewhere. I just wanted to record my thoughts about the film and see if they're coherent enough to edit into a video. So, just to be clear, this is full spoilers for the movie ahead. If you're interested in seeing the film unspoilt, which I would recommend if you're going to watch it at all, get out now. Get out whilst you still can. Because I'm going to spoil the whole thing. Here it comes. Right, so let's start with the good stuff. And by that I mean things about the film that I thought good. Just to, just be positive about this. The best thing about the film, I think, is that you can totally enjoy and understand it without having to have seen the second film of the reboot trilogy. And any reason not to watch the second film of the trilogy is a great reason not to watch that film. The second film, I think, is utter garbage. Yeah. So if you've never seen a Halloween film before and you want to enjoy this one, watch the 1970, I want to say 8, but let's have a look. It is. Watch the 1978 original, then watch the 2018 reboot, and then watch this one. That's all you have to see. Don't watch the second one, whatever that's called, Halloween Kills. Yeah, it should be called Halloween Kills its own ratings and legacy. So what else was good about the film? Well, production-wise, the acting was fine across the board, but I kind of feel like that's true with basically every mainstream or semi-mainstream modern film. I think it's very rare to see a bad performance in a movie nowadays. I thought the Foley work was very good, especially in one scene in particular, and if you haven't left already and you don't want it spoiled, this really is your last chance, because I'm about to talk about something that happens in the climax. There, when Michael is like on the kitchen table and Laurie gets like the big fuck off big knife and like does it into his side. There's some great Foley work with like his ribs all fucking getting crunched up, and then when she pulls the knife out and we hear the blood spurt out and splat on the floor and stuff, that sounds really good. You don't see any of it, the blood coming out, I mean. That's all like off camera, but you know exactly what it looks like because the sound design is just perfectly communicating what's happening. So, great stuff. Thought the fan service was pretty tastefully done. Michael pinning the nurse lady to the wall, like he pins that guy to the wall in the original. That's a nice bit of fan service, I guess. Lots of callbacks. Obviously, the knitting needle comes up again. The closet, hiding inside the closet, comes up again. Myers and Corey both do the patent pending Michael Myers, like, I sit up thing. Of course they're going to do that. That's a big part of his identity, you know. The film ends with... No, we'll get to that in a minute. So, let's try and go through this in, like, chronological order, maybe. That's going to be hard for me to do, but maybe I can fix it in editing. I guess I should also say that, I've only seen this movie once, and although it's pretty fresh in my mind, there could be some mistakes in what I'm about to say, I could have missed something, or misremembered it, or I could just be plain stupid. So the film starts with basically a vignette, a little short self-contained story about this new guy that we don't know called Corey, and he's babysitting, and this is after the events of the previous two films. It's a year since Michael Myers has disappeared. People are scared, whatever. And he ends up killing this kid by accident. And I thought it was very well done. I really enjoyed the entire little vignette. I thought, that was good. That was good. That was what I thought. And if we'd never seen Corey again, I would have still thought it was a great opening to the film. It's a great way of showing us that the town itself is kind of fucked up because of Myers. I hope this menthol in my mouth doesn't make any gross ASMR, saliva, salivating, masticating noises. I mean, if it does, I guess I'll try and edit them out. I like that Allison is a nurse. I think that's it's a good way of showing that she is trying to heal and help people, and that she's a good person. It's like a double-ended thing. Shows she's trying to heal, because it's a profession where you literally heal people, and she's trying to help people. She likes to help people. Clearly, we can imply that from the fact that she is a nurse. It's good. Makes sense. I saw that establishing shot of her as a nurse, and I was like, I can see that character becoming a nurse. That makes sense. The film uses the plot device of Laurie writing a book as quite a cheap way in order to have exposition and semi-deep dialogue and monologuing. And I say it's a cheap method because I think it is. I think it's a very easy method, but that doesn't mean it's not effective, because it is effective. So is that a criticism? We haven't had I'm trying to keep this kind of positive, because it's too easy to critique films, I think, especially on the internet. So I'm taking that as a good point. That wasn't a critique. I think it was good. It was cheap, but it was effective. So a bit of a backhanded compliment, but a compliment nonetheless. After this, the film kind of went long, and I had no big thoughts about it. Mind blank, head empty, no thoughts, head empty, whatever that meme is. Until, okay. It is going to get a bit negative here. The establishing shot of, there's the hobo guy, and there's this sewer pipe behind him, right? And it's like, a sewer pipe? Am I watching Halloween, or am I watching Stephen King's It, Don't do me with the sewer pipe, right? But I think that was a very strange decision for them when making the film, to have one of the key locations be something that evokes a different but equally, if not more famous horror IP, When I think of it, I think possibly the most iconic thing I think of is the sewer. It's either that or Tim Curry as a clown, right? And then Corey pulls a knife on those kids, and they push him off the bridge, and then he gets dragged into the sewer pipe, right? Now, Now it's even more like Stephen King's It. If I go up to you and I say, I was watching a horror film yesterday, this character got pushed off of a bridge by a bunch of ignorant, intolerant assholes, and then he got dragged into a sewer pipe. What film do you think I was watching? You know, what do you think they would say? Would they say Halloween, or would they say Stephen King's It? So yeah, that was a weird choice. Why is Michael Myers hiding out in a sewer lair? It could have been anything. Just don't make it be a sewer. And then when we're in the sewer, things start to get even more bad. Much like that grammar. Because Corey's like, alright, wake up in the sewer, I'm going to leave the sewer. That's a very logical set of thought processes. And then Michael's hiding in a crack in a wall, and he grabs him by the throat, and then he mind melds with Corey and sees all of his memories. Now, I know, I'm not an idiot. I know that wasn't supposed to be literal. That's not actually what he was doing. It's a way that the director is trying to show us that Michael sees himself in Corey's eyes, or he sees, the seed of evil in Corey's eyes. He's not literally looking inside of Corey's memories and being like, oh, this guy could become evil like me. That's not what that was. But the way it's shot, it does kind of, you could think that was what it was. You could certainly, if you're a cynical asshole like me, you can certainly laugh in the movie theater. If you're American, you could laugh in the cinema, if you're English, at the way that scene is shot, because it does look like he's mind melding. So, it is what it is. And then he lets Corey go. And then Corey stabs a hobo to death. Kind of, well, by accident. Kind of. His hand was forced. It wasn't a murder, is what I'm saying. It was aggravated manslaughter, perhaps. And then he goes and finds Allison. And he apologizes for storming out on the Halloween party and stuff. And then he's like, come for a walk with me. And she does, because she's very understanding, I guess. Ready to forgive. I don't know if I would have in that situation. I probably would. Not to pat myself on the back too much, cut this part of the video. And he takes her to the house where no, he doesn't. He tells her, he's like, I killed someone. And then he goes and explains how he killed that kid. I thought he was going to tell her about the hobo. I thought maybe he was going to tell her that he saw Michael Myers in a sewer. There's a lot of things that I would have done if I was in this situation. None of which would have been keep both the hobo killing and the Myers sighting a secret. Wouldn't have done either of those things. But the fact that he doesn't starts a chain of events, which is where my biggest problems with the film go. That being the relationship that Corey and Allison start. Because, for lack of a better word, I think it's slightly problematic. It reads like a very bad, self-insert creepypasta, or I'm just struggling with how to word this, because I don't want it to sound like a condemnation of everyone who writes creepypastas, because I'm sure there's plenty of great people there. I'm sure it's a great way to get into creative writing. I'm not throwing shade on creepypastas. I'm using it as an example for a stereotypical type of individual that hopefully you can understand the kind of person that I'm trying to describe here. His relationship with Allison seems like a kind of violent incel fantasy. It is like a self-insert creepypasta where the author thinks that it's romantic to be a violent or troubled individual, and thinks that women, girls, whatever, are attracted to an individual with those traits. And I think that is problematic. Now, I was really starting to get worried because when she started to seem into it as well, I was like, I really don't think this is the message that we should be sending to a generation of young men, that, you know, women appreciate or find violent individuals romantic. But the silver lining, and the reason that I still think this film is probably a good film, is that this seems to be on purpose. The film is definitely self-conscious of it, because Laurie Strode realizes that Corey is a troubled individual and she doesn't want her granddaughter to be involved with him. And obviously by the end of the film we see that she is correct, and Corey is evil and he dies. Spoiler alert. My only worry is that to a viewer who perhaps identifies with Corey a lot, may only see the romantic side of his character and not realise the bad parts. They may think, you know, oh, being angry at the whole world, and I don't know, I'm really struggling to put into words what I say, what I think. I mean, I'm really struggling to put into words what I'm thinking, because I don't want to insult any whole groups or imply anything like that. But to me, Corey is kind of like... No, he is. To me, Corey is like a violent incel, you know, black-pilled, nihilistic, kind of person, whatever kind of buzzword you want to use. And the fact that, even though, like I said, even though the film proves him wrong at the end and he is the bad guy, for a large enough chunk of the film, what he is doing is shown to be romantic, and it is shown to be successful in procuring a relationship, which obviously is a big part of what incels want, whether they admit it or not. So I think that is slightly worrying. There we go, we've covered that bit now. So what happens next in the film? What do we go on to next? Corey dons a scarecrow mask, and he and Michael Myers do like some Batman and Robin kills. He is the Robin to Michael Myers' Batman. They do a little tag team against the doctor and the nurse. But before that, Corey drags, or not drags physically, but he lures a police officer into Michael Myers' sewer lair. And then he basically gives, you know, Luigi the controller and lets Michael Myers kill the guy for him. And that restores Michael to his full power, which I actually thought was a good scene. The bit where Michael Myers, like, stands up straight at his full height again. It's like, there we go, you know. He's recharged his evil batteries. He's reached tier 3. He transforms before your very eyes from being an old fucking, like, 80-year-old man, I don't know how old he's supposed to be canonically, to not a man at all, but pure evil. So I thought that was a cool scene. I thought that was well done. Then they go and do the Batman and Robin team-up kill. And then I'm really losing the plot now. At some point, Corey's like, oh, I want to be the real Myers now. So he takes the mask from Myers, and then he starts going around and killing people who wronged him and people that he's angry at. And then he goes to Laurie's house, and Laurie phones the emergency line or whatever. And she's like, I'd like to report a suicide at 123 Haddonfield Road or wherever she lives, because her granddaughter hates her at this point. And you, the audience, you're like, oh my god, is Laurie gonna fucking shoot herself in the head? I was like, surely they can't do that. I was like, surely they wouldn't put that in a film. Not necessarily because she's the main character, but because it would just be so fucking depressing. I was like, I think that would be too depressing to put in a film. Would be to have our hero from the original 1978 film give up on life totally and kill themselves. I mean, yeah, that would be fucking harrowing. Luckily they don't do that. I think that would have been a massive misplay. And it was because this was all part of her plan, because she knew that Corey, who is now wearing the Myers mask, was in her house. And if he thought she had shot herself, he would reveal herself. And then she fucking, plugs him with a couple of bullets. And then she's like, hey, you want to fucking kill me? Fucking kill me then, dude. But then they both hear her granddaughter's car pulling up, and Corey's like, he repeats what he said earlier. He's like, if I can't have her, no one can, which this was a clever part of the film as well, actually. When he first says that, we think, or at least I thought, oh, he's going to try and kill her, right? If I can't have her, no one can. Okay, he's going to kill her then, right? That's what we're meant to think. But then, he kills himself. He stabs himself with the knife. And it's because now Laurie's granddaughter will fully hate her forever. At least that's his plan. And so Laurie will not be able to have her either. I liked it. And then, of course, actual Michael Myers turns up. And Laurie's like, oh shit, this fucking second stage, this boss fight. Yes, a fucking second health bar appeared after I killed this geezer. Yeah, it did. So then we get in loads of fucking fan service, the needle, the cupboard, all these things I already talked about. They're all coming back out to play. And this time they're playing for keeps, right? It's called Halloween Ends. We know one of these two geriatrics will die. Maybe both. And Myers is finally defeated. It seems like she slits his throat. But then, oh no, he starts strangling her. And then, her whole life flashes before her eyes, or at least all of her life that happened in 1978 and 2018 and 2021, or whatever the years that, Maybe it would have been funny to reference, Halloween 2. Maybe there is, and I missed it. Maybe there's a single frame from Halloween 2 or some shit. One of these films that they've decanonized. That would have been funny. But no. She doesn't think of the birth of her child or anything, or anything, like I said. Only the parts of her life that feature Michael Myers flash before her eyes, which is kind of sad, but maybe it's actually a really clever, deep piece of filmmaking highlighting how all-consumed she has been by his presence. Maybe it's not just a lazy design. But then her daughter saves her. Her daughter's like, I know now that Corey was an asshole, so I'm back. I'm here to save you. And she does. Yay. Then there is what I consider a gratuitous shot of them, slashing Michael Myers' wrist. I didn't think that was necessary. Maybe very uncomfortable. Maybe that was the point. It's a fucking horror film. If it makes me uncomfortable, that's probably actually a good thing. So, another gold star from me. And then they're like, oh, he's dead, but he's not dead enough. Oh man, I totally forgot. So, Allison is driving through town or whatever for some reason. Then she gets a phone call from the police guy who's friends with Laurie. And he's like, yo, Laurie said she was going to commit suicide. Do you know where she is? And I was like, wait a second. In the call she makes, she says, her fucking address. What does he mean? Why wouldn't he just go straight there? I thought that was weird. It's a reason to make Allison go back home, clearly, but it doesn't quite scan to me. Nothing that doesn't scan. Sometimes the dialogue was funny. There were some funny bits of dialogue. My favourite bit being when Corey is like, I'm fucking leaving home forever. Screw you guys. I'm not going home. I'm going anywhere but home. And then his dad's like, I hope you find love. It's like, what the fuck? What a thing to say in that moment. I thought that was really weird. I did laugh a little in the cinema at that. And when the dad fucking stands up, he's like, don't shoot, and gets fucking headshot. That was funny. I hope it was a callback to the 2018 film where Poundland Loomis jumps out and says, don't shoot, and gets shot. It's just funny moments. It's like, these guys actually, especially the Loomis bit in 2018, just going off on a tangent, when bootleg Loomis is in the prison bus and he pops out and is like, don't shoot, and gets shot. He's like, is this guy actually a fucking NPC from Mad Dog McCree Gunslinger Pack for the Nintendo Wii? You know, that's like the shit they do. They like pop out and go like, oh, don't shoot, and you fucking shoot them with the light gun. People who watch Germa might know what I'm talking about. Hopefully, at least someone out there gets that reference. Finish my tea now. Can you see that? Finish my tea and my menthol. So let's wrap this video up because I have no other reason to be awake. So then they're like, oh, Mize is dead, but he's not dead enough. So let's tie him to the roof of a cop car. Kind of weird. Drive him all the way to the scrap heap. And then put him through the fucking grinder. And the police are cool with it. And all the townspeople come out of their houses and form a weird procession to see this horrifically gruesome event that it would be in real life. Very strange. Not sure why they do this. Very weird. They really wanted us, the audience, to know that Michael Myers is dead. But, as Laurie tells us in her little exposition diary that she's writing, she's like, evil never dies, it just changes shape. Oh, because Michael Myers is the shape, you know? It just changes shape and he is the shape. The mask is the shape. And guess what? They didn't fucking destroy the mask because they're dummies. Or they're executives who want to make another Halloween reboot in another 20 years. And by then, I'll be like a fucking old-ass man. Holy shit. Jesus. Time waits for no man. Crikey. But this does lead us on to another positive about the film. I like that it ends on a kind of callback to the original film. The original film ends with all these shots of different locales with the sound of Michael Myers' breathing to imply that he could be anywhere, he could be everywhere. Evil is still out there. This film ends with happy shots of all these places. And at first there's no breathing. And you're like, oh, it's because he's dead. Michael Myers is dead. So this time we can't hear him breathing. He's finally gone. But maybe there is just a slight hint of breathing. I'm not sure. Maybe I hallucinated it because I wanted to hear it so bad. Maybe it was, I think the score is very cleverly done. I think it was like a musical chord. Not a chord like as in like D, E, F. But like just, you know, some kind of music. I don't know about music. Some kind of music sound that evokes the breathing. Very clever. And then the last thing it shows us is the fucking mask on her coffee table. So, yes, evil still exists, but this evil has been put to rest, at least for another 20 years or so. So yeah. Is it worth watching? I think it was enjoyable. But like, any film can be enjoyable, right? People fucking love watching The Room with Tommy Wiseau, right? That film's supposed to be terrible. I've never seen it, but you know, it's like the go-to example. But yes, it is enjoyable. I think if you are a big Halloween fanboy like myself, then this film is worth watching, right? If you're the kind of guy like myself to watch all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, even though they are all bad, but if you love to watch all of those films, if you love the genre of like slasher and schlock, then yes, it's definitely worth watching, and it is good for that. If you're looking for something deep, this is not a deep horror film. There are some elements of it that attempt to have some kind of meaning or message. There are some nice messages in there. All things considered, it is a very wholesome film. I don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, you should probably watch it. You know, you could wait till it's on DVD if you want. Cinemas, yeah. If you like the cinema, go see it. I don't know. I don't know what your financial situation is. If you're a fucking billionaire, then yeah, go to the fucking cinema and watch it. All right. If you're not, that's fine. Obviously, money does not define who we are. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just rambling now. Make up your own decision. If you're supposed to have already seen the film if you're watching this video, so I don't know why I'm telling you if you should go and see it or not. You already know if it was good because you've already seen it. So yeah. I think they should hire me to make the next reboot. And I even have some cool ideas. Alright. So obviously, Michael Myers is dead. I don't want to retcon his death or come up with some dumb reason for why he's not dead, except I kind of do, obviously. Here's my theory. In 1978, when they captured him, which we know they did, because he's in the mental institute at the start of the 2018 film, right? I'm running with their version, their retcon version of events. If they want to say only the original and then 2018, 2021 and 2022 are canon, I will roll with that, right? That's what we're going with for here. As much as I would love for Halloween 2 to be canon, because then we can talk about druids and that would be funny. But no, that's not canon. So, in 2018, no, I got it wrong instantly. In 1978, when Michael was captured, he's taken to the mental institution or whatever, where he stays for 40 years, right? I say, at some point during this time, they took sperm samples of Myers, right? You can probably already guess where I'm going here. The film is set in the future, or because we're making this in 20 years' time, it's set in the near future or present day. I don't know where technology will be. And they're like, we're going to clone Michael Myers with his sperm. And then boom, Michael Myers is back. That's my plan for how he comes back. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that sounds dumb as shit. Why would they clone him? Alright, new idea. It's kind of the same idea. Sperm bank. It's set in the future where, a dystopic future, where you can go to a sperm bank and be like, I would like to make a clone of a specific person's sperm, right? Now, the opening of the film is someone's going to the sperm bank. They're like someone who's like the same age as me, but the age that I will be now. They're from my generation is what I'm trying to say. And, you know, as they're from my generation, they're a big memer, alright? You know, they fucking love Shrek, alright? We can tell because they're wearing like a fucking Shrek t-shirt or some shit in the opening shot, alright? They go to the sperm bank and they're like, hey, I want to make a clone of Mike Myers, because he's like my favorite actor, right? But guess what? The vials got mixed up somehow. Some poorly paid minimum wage worker who has to like live off of 3 hours of sleep because he has to hold down 4 jobs to make a living in the fucked economy of 2050, has just slightly mislabeled one of the vials, and he's written Mike Myers instead of Michael Myers because he was getting like RSI in his fingers from having to write out the whole Michael each time, so he just started doing Mike. You can have a vignette exploring this guy's life if you want. So they think they're cloning Mike Myers, but they accidentally clone Michael Myers. Oh shit, right? What do we do now? And he goes through like accelerated growth because they wanted him to be the age of Mike Myers when he was in his prime. So they put him in the accelerated growth tank. And they're like, weird, that doesn't look like Mike Myers at all. Obviously, the real Mike Myers is like very old at this point. Maybe he's even dead IRL. I hope not, obviously. I like Mike Myers. But it doesn't matter because by the time we're making this film we'll be making the film in like 2042 at the earliest. So by this time, the real life Mike Myers will have sold the rights to his face to Disney, who also own the Halloween IP. So they can just like deep fake Mike Myers into the film if we need him for something. So we have now a new cloned Michael Myers is here. Oh no, and he just like fucking smashes out of the accelerated growth tank. He just starts fucking killing people, killing them because they're like a doctor, so they have scalpels on them. Every type of doctor obviously carries scalpels at all time. Why wouldn't they? But it's okay because there are some actual clones of Mike Myers here as well, because they don't just clone one at a time, because sometimes there are complications and the clone dies in the accelerated growth chamber, so they grow 3 at a time. The other 2 are real clones of Mike Myers, but they're not just that, because the person who ordered this clone, and remember, this is a dystopia, so, we might think that clones are unethical, but in this dystopia, they're perfectly fine if you have enough money. And this guy's like, he got into Bitcoin on the ground floor, so he's like loaded, It won't be Bitcoin though. That's to give you an idea of what it'll be. It will be some kind of thing that they come up with 20 years from now. It'll be like, I can't even stipulate on what it is, It might be a stipulative market, but I can't even stipulate on what the market will be about. So they've actually paid extra for these 2 clones of Mike Myers to be actually like clones of the fictional character Austin Powers, who is portrayed obviously by Mike Myers. Or maybe one of them can be Dr. Evil. It doesn't really matter. So they have all the skills of Austin Powers or Dr. Evil. So they're like fighting Michael Myers, and they're like, make them both be make them both be Austin Powers, like at the end of whichever Austin Powers one has the time travel in. I think that's 3. 2? Could be 2. I think it's 2. So, they can have banter with each other if they're both Austin Powers. Yeah, it's definitely 2 is what I'm thinking of, And they're naked because they've come out of the clone bat. That's fine, because then we can do like the classic Austin Powers like hiding his dick gag. Michael Myers is standing there with like this big fuck off knife, and then like Austin Powers walks into the room and he's like, ooh, but like his dick's being covered by the big fuck off Michael Myers knife. And then they like fucking duke it out in the final battle of good and evil. So yeah, Disney, 20 years from now, if you want to hire me, you'll probably not have to ask me permission to do it, because you'll just like own my entire planet, and you'll just enslave me to make this film. It'd be sad, because I'd be a slave, but it would be cool, because I'd be able to stretch my directorial and writing muscles. Yeah. And if you think the Mike Myers thing is dumb, I agree. The real idea is the sperm bank. The rest of it is semantics for them. So yeah. Right, this outro was sufficiently long and rambly enough, and I am sufficiently tired enough. So, see you guys whenever I next see you. Don't hold your breath for another Halloween video this year. This could be all you get, and you'll fucking like it. Oh yeah, and what is their aversion to, like, using the original Halloween music? You know, all anyone wants to hear is just that. You know? But they don't want to do it. They have to remix it every time. I just want to hear the original. You play it in the credits. Oh, actually, I'm glad I stopped to record this, like, dumb after credits of my own video bit, because I do actually have one other legitimate thing. In the original film, Michael Myers does a lot of staring, right? That's like his jam. That's what he does. He fucking stares. So much so that in Dead by Daylight, they even managed to incorporate that as his only ability in that game. He just fucking, he looks at you, right? That's his jam. He doesn't do that in any of these remakes anymore, really. He doesn't do it. He just, like, slash teepees behind people's backs, and Nothing Personnel Kid kills them. I miss seeing him, like, just staring at people. Yeah. Why have they cut that out of his character? To me, that's one of the main things he does. He stares at people, he kills people, he does his own mise-en-scène work with the dead bodies. Nowadays, he just kills people. They're missing two of the three things. Maybe 40 years in a mental institution taught him to stop staring.